Hi crafters, it's Karen, and I have a mixed media process layout to share. I'm using the Hello Darlin stack from DCWV that a lot of us picked up from Joann's, and this really sweet picture of my granddaughter Alyssa. This is one of the times that we had taken her for a walk, and we were walking by a marina. So my intention for this layout was it's going to be, a lot of mixed media, but I wanted a lot of bright colors, stepping out of my comfort zone a little bit. So the first thing I'm going to do is add some gesso to protect my paper and prepare my surface so that it'll accept all the different mediums that I'm thinking I want to introduce. Now, I got to tell you, I'm not completely happy with this layout. I mean, I wasn't going to post this, but Joe looked at it when he got home the other day and he said, I love this, use this, because, you don't usually work in these colors, and, you don't think somebody will be inspired by this? So whatever. So I decided to post it, but I had so many different ideas that I wanted to incorporate into this layout, and I didn't do it in a very organized manner. You'll see. But the first thing I'm doing is I'm coloring up some of this cheesecloth that I picked up. And my primary colors that I want are this bright pink, yellow, and green. And I'm using my Tattered Angels Glimmer Mist to color this cheesecloth. And this cheesecloth is the stuff that I had picked up at the Dollar Tree. And at first I didn't like it because it's not nearly as soft as the regular cheesecloth that you could find at Target or whatever. However, because it is more sturdy and not as soft, it tolerates sprays so much nicer. Like I can use the heat tool on it without, it burning up and stuff. So for that reason, I do like the cheesecloth that I found at the Dollar Tree. So now I'm going in with this yellow, and whoops, that's not the right yellow. That looked more green. I think that color was apple something. So now I'm using some Lindy stamping. I think that's Grab a Guy Gold. So I've got my yellow color. I feel like I spent a lot of time in doing this layout, just cleaning up, because I I kept making a mess. This is the first time that I'd been, see, aren't they pretty, that I'd been in my scrap room in, I don't know, a week, because I hadn't been feeling good. I've had some issues. I have the stent in my kidney, and it's been bothering me, and I was running a fever and whatever. So now I was feeling well enough to sit and play with my crafting things. So I had several ideas, and I wanted to do them all on this one layout. So what I'm doing is I'm taking these they're not chipboard, these wood pieces that I picked up from Michael's, and I'm covering them all with a coat of gesso, and then I'm going to use my Dilutions paints to paint them, and I'm just going to use my finger because those Dilutions paints are so vibrant, and vibrant, smooth, kind of thick. A little bit goes a long way with the Dilutions paints. They're just wonderful. So you'll see, I'm just going to paint them up with my fingers. So I'm going to paint those leaves green, that bright green color. I don't have the colors in front of me, but these are the original Dilutions paints from the first wave. See, I got that green everywhere, so now I'm cleaning it up. But yeah, so I'm going over those leaves, wood leaves there with the green paint. Then I got to clean it up because somehow I spilled it when I opened it. And now I'm going to use that vibrant pink color. I think that's bubblegum pink, to paint that rose, that big wooden rose that I picked up at Michael's. And I think that particular rose is from Art Mines, where they have the wood pieces, decorative wood pieces, and wood frames and such. And it just reminded me of the Maggie Holmes roses, crepe paper roses. So I really loved that. So, and now with the yellow, I'm wanting to go over this word explore, which comes from the new mixed media section at Michael's. I love that color yellow. I just love yellow. I know a lot of people aren't a fan of yellow, but I am. So, okay, I had to clean up my mess and everything. Now you can see I matted my layout on some just regular black cardstock, and now I am going to layer up my photo. And I wanted, my idea was to use many different prints. In this paper collection, there are so many bold prints. They're so colorful and happy and youthful, and I wanted to use them. The photo is in black and white, so that I could use them. So I'm layering up a lot of these different colors, and in the end you'll see that I decided although the layers looked nice and everything, it just wasn't what I had in mind. So yeah, I'm gonna end up starting over. I'm gonna end up relayering my photo mat. And I think part of the problem is I printed out that photo using my Canon selfie, so it came out 4x6. You know, it's a large photo. I wish I had printed it out smaller. I think that might have made a big difference in how I layered up the photo mat. And see, I think I want to use some of this tissue tape. That's that gold hearts that I found at Target. But then I feel like, this is nothing like what I had in mind. Those layers are too neat. So I definitely wanted to use that big floral piece that I had fussy cut from another page in the collection. So I didn't leave myself enough room to do that really. So I'm going to relayer it and make the layers not as tidy. I'm going to do some tearing, and I don't know, it just didn't come out the way I had it in my head, and I wasn't being very patient with myself either. I think if I spent a little bit more time thinking through, what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it and how I wanted to place things on my layout, it might have been more cohesive, because there are different elements in this layout that I really like, but I didn't put them all together in a way that was very cohesive. So I think that's what my problem was. But I am happy that I stepped out of my comfort zone and I worked with these bright colors, these bright happy colors, those pinks and the lime greens. I mean, just beautiful summer colors, right? So that's why I picked out that background piece there, that's just that text and then that soft pink, because I knew I was going to bring in a lot of color with, sprays and the layering. So now I had cut a bunch of strips of all these different patterns from the paper collection. And this is my idea. I wanted to cut out squares, and they're all in random sizes, right? So I wanted to kind of make a mosaic in the top left corner of the layout. Kind of place them sort of like a brick wall, but that type of thing, like tile them out in a kind of random but very cool way. And because they are all different patterns, I thought it might work out real well. So I'm inking all the edges with this Abandoned Coral Distress ink, and now I'm going to use my Scott's Quick Dry to adhere them all. And I kind of know the direction that I wanted to go, but I also wanted to keep it kind of random and let it not be so perfect. And there is some of that black paper there, so I wanted to be careful how I used it. I mean, I didn't want to put, two pieces of the same pattern together. And then there is a sheet there that that hexagon sheet does have some gold foiling on it. So at this point already I could see, you know, although this is very cool, it's really not taking shape the way that I had envisioned it for this particular layout. I'm definitely going to try this again, but I'm going to do it differently, I guess, like make it more of a focal point. This wasn't, I don't know what I was thinking. It's bold, and I didn't want it to be so bold, but then what should I have expected, because those are bold colors. So I think I was just in the mood to come out to my scrap room and play, because it had been almost a week since I'd sat and played with my paper. Don't you guys ever get like that, where you haven't done anything crafty and creative and you just need to, you know, touch that paper and use that glue and turn your radio up and just, you know, just play? I get like that, and this is one of those times. So here I feel like I'm doing a second little cluster of these tiles in the bottom left, and I know that big cut apart rose that I had cut is going to be in the bottom right. So I felt like that will balance off these two. So here there's some gesso in that little cup, and I just sprayed some water in it so that I could brush over those tiles with some gesso. And I know it looks streaky and stuff in the video, but in person it really didn't. It didn't look that streaky. I mean, it put the colors more in the background. And here I'm having some of my iced coffee. So now I'm trying to decide which stencil to use. And I was going to use that bingo stencil, but I felt like theme-wise it didn't work. So I just went to my old standby, and that's this checkered squared one, because I feel like it's like, because they're small squares, they're like primary. It's like a primary stencil, so it works well for a youthful layout. In my mind, that's how I reasoned that out to use it. So I'm just trying to be real sketchy with it and not exact, and just put some hints of the modeling paste and texture in different places, in a few different places on my layout. I didn't put any where I knew that big flower was going to be, because I knew it would be hard to adhere the flower if I did. So I have several of these photos, because I must have taken, like, I don't know, 20 pictures of Alyssa walking and trying to skip and running ahead of us. So I have several pictures of her running alongside the marina there. So I'm definitely going to scrapbook a similar photo, and I'm going to take it in a different direction. So here I'm backing this photo with some cardboard, just so that, you know, I don't have to use up all my dimensional tape. And this is where my gauze comes in, or not my gauze, cheesecloth comes in. So I decide that those pieces are much too big, so I'm going to cut them apart. And I just want a little bit of that texture showing through. And then I realize I want to bring some color into the layout. So I'm using that Grab-A-Guide Gold. I'm using the red Tattered Angels, or not red, it's like a vibrant pink. And I'm spraying them, and then spraying them again with water, just so that they would drip, to give that watercolored look to it, you know. And it would mute out some of the vibrant colors of those background tiles. Now I'm taking the green with the same idea, spraying it with water and making it look more watered, like a watercolor, you know. So I want my photo to lay on some yellow and pink cheesecloth. And then I add a little bit of the green as well, just so that all three colors are represented in that particular texture, because I just love the texture and the softness that the look of the cheesecloth brings. And it's so easy to use. So I just adhered the photo with my hot glue gun. Now I'm adding dimensional tape to my roses. And I'm going to place that underneath my photo. And Alyssa was so cute on this day. She kept running ahead of us saying, "Come on, Meme. Come on, Meme. Let's run." Bless her heart. So now I thought I wanted to use some of this flamingo acetate that they have over at Michael's. So to make it stand out more, I paint the other side of it with this white acrylic paint. And it's just regular acrylic paint. It's not the dilutions. It's just the regular white acrylic paint. And I felt like that would bring out those flamingos better. So I set that out to dry. And now I'm using some of that white acrylic paint to accent some of these other pieces and the cutouts and elements on my layout, just to highlight them a little bit. And now I added more water, and I added more water to the acrylic paint. And I'm just using it as splatters on my layout. Again, to bring out a little bit of white, break up some of that color a little bit. So as you can see, I stapled down my flamingo acetate strip, and I think that looks kind of cool. And I know the staples don't look good. And after the fact, I don't do this in the video, but after I'm done with the video, I do put some pink cheesecloth over the staples so you can't really see it, the staples. So now I'm using some of that shimmery green thread, and I'm going to use that as an accent underneath the word explore. And I'm just going to tuck it underneath with my Scotch Quick Dry underneath that acetate, so that it's sticking out of the acetate. And then I'm going to put my title on top of it. So I think the strip of the flamingo works well because it kind of gives you a line, a center line, and the photo looks as though it's setting on that flamingo strip. And now I'm adding some green thread underneath this big vibrant wooden rose, and I'm going to place that on top of the roses that I cut apart. And maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe that was too much, but it's done. And now I'm adding this green leaf, and I like that there. And I'm adding all these wood pieces with my Scotch Quick Dry, and the Scotch Quick Dry adheres these wooden pieces wonderfully. You know, I just set the bottle there just to give it a little bit more weight, so it'll adhere. Now I'm using these tiny little flowers from Recollections, these vibrant, tiny little color flowers, and I'm going to adhere them around my title and that brilliant pink wooden rose there. Just these tropical bright colors. Even though that's a black and white photo, you can tell that for one thing, we're near the water, because that's a marina, and that it's a bright sunny day. So these vibrant colors work real well, even though the picture is black and white. So see those rhinestone type pineapples there on the left? I was going to add one of those. So I'm glad I rethought that, but that's what I mean. I just felt like I wanted to use these bright colors and shimmery things and bright paints, and yeah. And then these are a bunch of die cuts that I had cut using either gold foil or papers from the collection, and I just used all kinds of dies that I have, spellbinders and Sizzix dies and diamond dies, sort of to make an ephemera pack to use with this collection. And one of those, I also used a bunch of my punches, so I punched out a bunch of butterflies, so I'm going to add a few butterflies to the layout, just as an extra touch. It really didn't need the extra touch. Maybe some bling might have been a better idea, but yeah. Do you see what I mean? It's really busy. It's colorful, and in person the colors are pretty and everything, but you see what I mean. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. And I have some still shots so you can see the detail of the layout. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.